So, by now we have defined triggers and defined an action to inform you when those triggers fire. But what do you do if you want to inform others that you are aware of the problem? For that purpose, we can use acknowledgments. Acknowledgments serve two purposes. First, they inform your coworkers that you are dealing with the issue already. And second, they can be used to stop an escalation. Let's see how that works. So let's start on the dashboard. Down here you can see a window called Last 20 Issues. What you see here is the current issues that are happening. For example, lack of free swap space on Zabbix server. This is a message that you will always get when you are using the Zabbix 2.0 appliance, because no swap partition is configured on the system. The interesting thing that I would like to point to is the column called ACK, which is short for acknowledge. You can see a link called No here, and if you click on this link, a new window appears with an input box asking you for a message. What you can do here is insert text message so that everyone else who is working with Zabbix knows that you are working on the alert and that you hereby acknowledge the alarm. So let's insert I'm working on the problem. Acknowledge and return, and you get back to the dashboard, and instead of the no link you see a yes link. And if you hover it with a mouse, you can see which user set the command and what the command is. So let's take a look what we can do with the acknowledgements. I go to Configuration and Actions, and we see the well-known default action that is used to report problems to the Zabbix administrators. I added it, and there is something that I would like to point to, which is called the default operation step duration. An action can contain several steps that are run, for example, several people that are notified one after another. The default duration for each step is set to 1 hour, which is 3,600 seconds. I would recommend setting this to 60 so that every step is just run every minute. Let's take a look at the operations, and this is what meant by the step duration. You see one step here, which means that immediately after a trigger is firing and the action is executed, a message is sent to the Zabbix administrators. Let's add a second step. Step number 1 is run at second 0. So step number 2 would be run after 1 minute, and step number 3 after 2 minutes. So let's say we want to inform somebody else after 5 minutes. In this case, we would have to enter 6 and 6 as the steps, because that is after 5 minutes, and we choose to send a message to a certain user. We select guest here, and also we add a condition, so that the second step is only run if the event is not acknowledged. As you can see here, the operation condition is by default event acknowledged equals not ACK. We can just add this, and it gets added to the conditions window. Now, when we add this step, you can see the 2 steps. Step number 1 is still running immediately, and step number 6 is running after 5 minutes. So what we have done now is set up an escalation, so that if one of the users from the Zabbix administrators group is not acknowledging the issue on the dashboard, these steps continue to run, and step number 6, which is occurring 5 minutes later, will inform the user guest. So you can use this kind of escalation, for example, to inform the officer on duty, and half an hour later inform the CEO or somebody else that you require. And last, I want to show you how to repeat these steps. Say that we do not only want to have the step happen after 5 minutes, but also have it repeat every 5 minutes. Let's edit the step. And this brings us back to these steps. I just said to enter from 6 and to 6, but what this actually means is that the steps are repeated from the 6th step to the 6th step. So you see in the legend that 0 means infinitely. When I set this to infinitely, it means that from step 6 to infinity, this step is always repeated. The step duration is 60 seconds, and we can set this to 300 seconds. This might look a bit confusing at first, but it means that the step number 6 is repeated for all eternity every 300 seconds. I update it, and you see step 6 to 0 means after 5 minutes step 6 is run and repeated every 300 seconds. This is useful if a user is not getting an SMS, for example, or an email, or inadvertently ignoring it. So after 5 minutes, the next message is sent, and so on. Now you will be able to set up your own steps in your actions, set up an escalation, and make use of the Zabbix acknowledgement system.